Not everybody can be a leader, but there's good news. It's the law of duality. In the long run, every market becomes a two-horse race. So there's an opportunity for two brands in every category. Take the cola field. Coke was first, Coke is powerful, but there was an opportunity for Pepsi-Cola to become the second brand. However, if you're the third brand, like Royal Crown Cola is, you're in for serious problems. Because really, there's only room for two brands in the mine, and actually, there's only room for two brands in the supermarket. Now, take another example, orange juice. A number of years ago, Procter & Gamble, really a powerful marketing organization, decided to introduce an orange juice called Citrus Hill. But Citrus Hill was number 3 in a category. We had two big leaders. We had Minute Maid and we had Tropicana. There was no room for Citrus Hill. Procter & Gamble spent 10 years trying to get Citrus Hill into the supermarkets and into a successful brand. It never made it. It lost money 10 years in a row, and they finally killed the brand, and it cost them $200 million to shut it down. Wherever you look today, where the category is mature, you find two major brands. Athletic shoes, we got Nike and Reebok, and everybody else is very small. In airplanes, worldwide, we have two brands, Boeing and Airbus. And McDonnell Douglas, the third largest maker of airplanes, is in trouble. Wherever you look today, you find the same phenomenon. Two brands dominate the category. In batteries, it's Eveready and it's Duracell. In mouthwash, it's Scope and Listerine. In tires, it's Michelin and Goodyear. In toothpaste, it's Crest and it's Colgate. Every single category tends to have two brands. Take political parties. In the United States, we have the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Two parties dominate the category. As a matter of fact, if you look around the world today, where you find two major political parties, you find political stability. It's only when you have one party that you find, incipient dictatorship, or if you have multiple parties, you have greater instability of government. In government, in brands, wherever you look, two brands will long-term dominate the category. That's the law of duality. Now that we know that there's always room for two brands in a market, the question is, how do you become a strong number two? Since we talked about the law of duality, you might be interested in how you get to be number two if you weren't the leader. So that is the law of the opposite. If you're shooting for second place, your strategy is determined by the leader. You have to do the opposite of what the leader does. There is a philosophy here. In strength, there is weakness. Take the dinosaur. The dinosaur is the most powerful animal that ever walked the earth. So what is the weakness if you happen to weigh 20 tons? You know what the weakness is? You have to eat 2 tons of cereal for breakfast just to maintain your weight. Now, some scientists think that when an asteroid hit the Yucatan and kind of blocked out the sun for a couple 100,000 years, these poor guys never got enough to eat and they died out. So there is always weakness inherent in strength. Take the big, powerful Kodosaurus. It's what I like to call Kodak. They have 85% of the amateur photographic film business in America. 85%. Now, we were asked to develop a program for 3M, which is the leading manufacturer of private label photographic film, but they wanted to launch a brand. So here's what we said. Look, where is Kodak strong? Everywhere. Anywhere you go in the world today, you can buy Kodak film. Now, what is the weakness inherent in that universal availability? Well, the weakness is that, they manufacture film like they make bananas. That you pick them green and they ripen on the shelf. That film ripens on the shelf. That's not the way they sell professional film. They sell professional film refrigerated, so it's ready to use, it's mature, ready to go. So we suggested to 3M that they launch a brand of amateur photographic film called True Color. It's the first refrigerated film. Now, you can't sell that everywhere. But we said, well, that's okay. Sell it in the supermarket in a six-pack. And tell the customers to take the six-pack home and put it in the refrigerator, and it's ready to go. That didn't fly at 3M, but I think that's still a very good idea for somebody who wants to be number two in the photographic film business. Take another example that did fly. We were looking for a bank in the state of New Jersey called United Jersey. Now, United Jersey competes with the big banks. Banks like Citibank and Chase Manhattan Bank. Where's a big bank strong? A big bank is strong because they got a lot of money, they got a lot of people, they're very big, they got a lot of resources. What is the inherent weakness if you're big? Well, big institutions are slow. So we said to United Jersey, we're the fast-moving bank. I'll never forget, the chief executive said, I'm sorry, Al. Our bank is no faster than Citibank, we're no faster than Chase. And we said, that's okay. Now, if you're shooting for second place, your strategy is determined by the leader. Therefore, you've got to change the bank. You've got to change everything you do so that you can become the fast-moving bank. So that's what they did. They changed all the procedures of the bank, and they speeded up the mortgages, the car loans, and everything they did was faster. And then they launched a program calling themselves the Fast-Moving Bank. And income rapidly doubled in 3 years. But you know you got a winner when you see this idea, this concept, the Fast-Moving Bank, on the cover of the United Jersey Annual Report. Well, one of the big examples of this idea of what to do if you're shooting for number two is Pepsi-Cola. See, Coke is the leader. The Coke is a 110-year-old product, 110 years old. Now, what's the weakness if you're 110 years old? Well, your parents drank Coca-Cola. So what Pepsi-Cola said is, you don't want to drink the same stuff that your parents drank, do you? You're the Pepsi generation. And the kids and the younger people reacted to that tremendously. And where Coke used to outsell Pepsi 2-1 today, Coke outsells Pepsi in the United States about 10-9. Pepsi is a very, very close number two brand. So that's what you got to do. If you really want to be number two, what you have to do is the opposite of what the leader does. That's the law of the opposite.